All right, guys, let's get into the daily news. How the heck did that get on the screen? Looks like somebody has a little extra spare time having some fun with the artwork here. That is a great shirt, isn't it? Anyway. Oh, hold on. You guys don't hear sound? Hold on. I see sound on my side, but you guys are, say yes if you hear sound. Good morning. Are you guys hearing sound? Hey, do you guys hear sound? Yes, no? Say yes. Yes, you hear sound audio in the chat room? Someone said there's no sound. Can you hear me? Hold on, guys. You're saying there's no sound. Hold on, guys. Give me a second here. I'm hearing that there's no... Oh, you do have sound. Perfect. All right, let's get started here. Let's get cooking. All right. Let's get into the real intel. Had a little extra spare time with some creative artwork this morning here. Let's get cooking here. So, all right. So, hold on. Let's get out of this screen right here. Okay, here we go. All right. So there's not a lot out there this morning. There's a few basic things here and there to cover with you guys. So you're just going to see from little angles in this that Iraq's going international, expanding, all that. You'll see from some other angles they've got increased security, increased stability, sovereignty, all that. Let's get into this. So it says the head of the central agency discusses with representatives of Apple the requirements for obtaining the Iraqi quality mark. This does have to do with the this has to do with the actual company Apple, okay, telephones and so forth. It says in a move that embodies the Central Organization for Standardization and Quality Control's keenness to enhance openness to global companies and raise consumer confidence level, the organization's president, Professor Dr. Ang Fayad Mohammed, held a high-level virtual meeting with representatives of Apple International. During the meeting, the procedures and technical requirements related to applying for the Iraqi quality mark were reviewed within the framework and efforts aimed at supporting the business environment and enabling global procedures to comply with approved national specification standards. There you go. And good morning to all of you in the chat room as well on YouTube. All right, Central Organizations for Standardization and Quality Control Apple meeting. So as you see here, it was a high-level virtual meeting between the president and an Apple International representative. So again, they're reviewing procedures, technical requirements for obtaining the Iraqi quality mark. Core objectives: increase openness to global companies, ensure Apple products comply with Iraqi national standards. There you go. They're expanding business, trade, going international. That's critical right there, okay? Let's get into the next one here. This is not a real critical article. If anything, it's a very misleading article. I don't even want to really get into that with you guys, so you're not misled. Mosul International Airport. Remember, that was basically torn apart and shut down back during the ISIS war, okay? And it was shut down for a period of around 11 years, okay? So just wanted to, do that with you guys here. It says approval to operate flights from Mosul Airport to the Holy Land right here. How long were flights suppressed from Mosul Airport? About 11 years, from roughly 2014 until 25. Remember, Mosul International Airport kind of got torn apart and destroyed from the ISIS war when that went into effect, okay? The airport was captured by ISIS in June of 2014. There you go. Now flights are resuming. It took them that long to rebuild and recover and turn the international airport of Mosul around, get it reconstructed, okay? Back open for business and flights. So again, it's now reopened to the international world though. Critical step right there towards going international along with tourism, investment, and so forth. Joint operations. The 2026 plan includes reducing the militarization of cities and ending control. So what this article is about is they're saying that they're going to be reducing a military presence throughout certain cities and locations where they've had a heavy military presence, where they've had, larger ISIS presence and so forth, and foreign militia action and that kind of thing. Because they're now stable, secure, becoming a sovereign state, going international, inviting tourism in, those are other reasons, but the two major ones are stability and security, why they're reducing large, massive military presence throughout specific areas of the country, okay? Parliamentary leadership agrees to hold 8 sessions per month. One of the things I stressed to you guys is that when in this formation of the government, Iraq's parliament was the group that was able to get the least amount of steps and tasks done. They looked incompetent. Iraq's parliament throughout the year of 25 looked like they couldn't get anything done. That was because of most of the tasks and steps that the parliament needed to do required the rate to have changed. For example, they have 150 plus laws to do. They spent 7 months last year draft amending the 2025 budget, preparing it to go international. But as we see, it's amended, ready for approval. The 25 budget is, but as we see, it might not come forward because we're now entering into the year of 26. So those efforts and that budget might be scrapped, and they might just transition straight into the 25 budget at this point because we're now past 25 into 26. Okay, but again, the fact that they're moving towards having 8 sessions of parliament per month, it's because they have a lot to do, and that's what I was trying to stress to you guys. They've got to hit the ground running when they're able to, and they have a lot to do because they did the least amount back in 25, so they now have the most steps and tasks to do to play catch up. The Iraqi earthquake hits Iraqi markets at the start of 26. What this is saying here is the value of the U.S. parallel dollar has gone up. Why? Because trade is increasing. And as of right now, because the Iraq dinar is not a tradable currency, the dollar is currently their trade currency until they go international, making the dinar tradable. So because trade is ramping up and increasing right now, that's the reason why the parallel dollar is going up. And right now it's crossing that 146,000 threshold against $100. And as you see, that's creating a level of urgency for the central bank to need to revalue, most likely after, and again, this is my opinion, most likely after the government is formed. Okay. Puck has 3 internal nominees. Everything's listed in here, and there's some critical aspects to this right here that I've already done as of this morning. I already did a private live video for Substack. This is critical to understand because overall, if you look a lot deeper what's happening in here, it gives you a better gauge as to how fast the government might be formed, okay, and how quickly it could form. So there's some important things to study and analyze in here. Because again, in my opinion right now, see, we're already in the first week of January. The central bank hasn't changed the rate yet. That suggests they're waiting for the government. Even though the central bank's autonomous and can change the rate separate from the government, they can do it whenever they want. They most likely perceive the formation of the government as a critical level of stability, and that would be why they're waiting until after the government is formed. Okay. But again, diving in a lot deeper, this can help you gauge the timing of when the government could be done, formed, and completed, and we cover that a lot deeper on Substack for you guys. Local markets in Baghdad have risen with the selling price. Again, it just showing the value of the dollar right now due to increased trade is increased and escalated. Sudan directs continued talks with U.S.-based Chevron. Again, Iraq's at the point of a budget period. They're working towards increasing their overall internal revenue and so forth to fund their budgets, along with the massive infrastructure packages and reform packages that they're going to have to fund as soon as they go international. So again, it's just increased revenue, more oil, expanding business with Chevron and so forth, trade. Meeting between Prime Minister and American Energy Company. Again, that's another Chevron meeting article from this morning. They're agreeing to hold 8 sessions of Parliament within the House of Representatives. We covered that. Here's a very interesting one. I'm going to open this up for you guys. So obviously we captured Maduro, the president of Venezuela. I have another article that talks about, it actually talks about how is Venezuela going to become the next Iraq. That's the interesting part of this, okay? And as you see, Maduro and Saddam Hussein actually look quite a bit alike. Their physical appearance looks a lot alike, but again, it's just interesting how it looks as though history could be repeating itself within Venezuela and Iraq. Okay. Mohammed Shia Soudani is still the strongest, closest candidate within the framework. Again, this has to do with that deeper dive. Based on what politicians they put in there could actually slow the speed down or significantly increase the speed depending on who they select and who they put in. And so we study that at a much deeper level to help you guys out over on Substack. Kurdistan's digital banking initiative nears 1 million users in the financial overhaul. In this article, they're just really going into great detail showing us how the citizens' comfort level of getting into banking, opening banking accounts, having a general comfort level with the banks, because over the last many years, the citizens haven't trusted the banks, but they are now. The banks have been paying them very high interest rates to get in, get their money deposited. They've been inviting the citizens to get in, get debit cards, start using banking. Plus, they've restricted the use of the dollar back at the beginning of 25 and all that. So there you guys go. Iraqi market, 6th anniversary of leaders' victory as PM Soudani reaffirms sovereignty drive. Again, they're going into their everything that the politicians have done for the country, how they've achieved stability, really restored stability, turn the country around, get them into a sovereign state, get both the U.S. and UN out of Iraq so they can have their sovereignty towards going international, which is exactly what they're doing right now. 2026, we'll see a reduction in the militarization of cities and control. We already talked about that. Again, they're reducing the military presence throughout Iraq to promote, to show that they have tremendous sovereignty, stability, and security, and create that comfort level and to invite tourism in and foreigners and so forth. Okay. All right, hold on here, guys. I'm trying to the morning list of the dollar exchange rates. Okay, don't rate. Okay, warplanes will fly. That's not a big one. That's just more has to do with like a historical thing going on there. That's Chevron. We covered that. Customs duties on medicines increased. Clarification for customs. So again, they're increasing tariffs right now in Iraq. They increased medicines tariffs, I think, up to 5%, and that's where it's going. I think one of the articles, let me see if this has the percentage in it. That's what I was trying to find for you guys. Right here, yeah, it says new unified rate is 5% right here. Okay, so again, the tariff rate on medicines and prescriptions and throughout Iraq is getting increased to 5%. Just so you guys know. So again, it has to do with increasing revenue, going international, and so forth. And along with, they do have tax reforms coming forward as well. So this article right here, the President of the Republic affirms that sacrifices of the victory leaders established Iraq's security, and it is our responsibility. Here they're just talking about how all of the politicians have restored the country, turned it around, achieving stability, and so forth, okay? And here's that article I was telling you about. Is Venezuela the new Iraq? Comparing Operation Absolute Resolve 2003, just kind of comparing to historically what happened in Iraq with recently in Venezuela, okay? Tomorrow's the deadline for presidential nominees. Again, there's a lot of little critical things you might want to pay attention to on that to let you know how fast the formation of the government might occur and complete. Because again, in my opinion, I don't think the rate's going to change till after that's done. The central bank could perceive that as a level of stability. So, all right. Let's get in here. Hold on. Right here, the House Representatives is required to pass vital draft laws. That's one of the things they didn't do much throughout last year, was pass vital draft laws, because again, most of the laws were rate change sensitive, requiring the rate to have changed to approve those. All right. Gold and overall metals are rising right now, gold and silver. And remember, when gold and silver rise, the value of the dollar goes down, which it has a little bit. And that's suggesting, I would keep your eyes on that. There could be a recession coming forward, okay? All right. We're pretty much Right here it says a new chapter for the UN in Iraq. Absolutely. The UN has ended their UNAMI missions. The UN has turned all their building and facilities that they occupied back over to the federal government of Iraq. That's again, and now they're in a brand new chapter. They're at business level, okay? Bilateral relations. That's where they're at. So anyway, that is it, guys. Thank you for joining. Hope you guys have an amazing Sunday. Take care and enjoy your wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining. Have a good one.